And we are live. Hi,
Live.
everybody.
Well, I don't know how
Yes.
live I am, but I'm here.
I'm RJ Ogren, and this is my best friend, Suzanne Ogren.
Aren't we married too?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. I thought I remembered that. We had an anniversary on Tuesday.
Hi, Romina.
And as people are coming on, I guess I should wait a little bit to give this little thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
It's the 20th.
I think so.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know.
It's been a really weird day, everybody.
Oh, you have no idea.
And, I just finished the woman on the tombstone behind me here. So, and both of these paintings are going to Texas, and the person I painted them for is going out of town. So he says, don't send them until a week from now. And I'm also laying out an engagement photo picture in the animal kingdom of a couple.
Are you supposed to tell this?
So, well, they don't know, so I'm not going to say who it is.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Because her husband-to-be might be watching. Anyway, so it's good afternoon. Hi, Catherine and Cindy and Vic and Christopher. Oh, everybody's just jumping right on here.
Yes, I see. I don't have my glasses on, so you have to read them.
Yeah, well, I took mine off because we get a reflection in the
we
from
have
the screen.
Sun coming in.
Well, anyway.
Very
it's bright. We're in the
today.
studio here, and hi from Romeoville. Hi, Kimberly. Romeoville, you're not far away. We're in Aurora. I'm not painting today because I have this wonderful person on here.
Wonderful person who can't stay for the whole hour because I have to go pick up our grandson's girlfriend from work.
Yes.
So
yes,
I'll be here for most of it, though.
She started a new job today, so
she's
very excited. No, she did.
Yes.
Yes. See, this is what it's like all the time. We've been married, as most of you know, 53 years.
Tuesday.
As of last Tuesday, yes.
Now working on 54.
We went out to a wonderful dinner at Maggiano's, one of our favorite places to go. Hi, Jenna and Rachel and Natalie. Hi, Natalie. So here we are.
You're waving, but nobody sees your wave.
Nobody sees my wave. I can't do it fast because that would be
we need a bigger screen, is what we need.
So yes, and anyway, I wanted Suzanne to be on today so you could ask her questions about what it was like to work at Disney, etc., and about our books and everything. And of course, she at Disney World was first in monorails as a monorail pilot, and then
that was the only job I could get.
Then you were in characters, mostly as Sleepy the Dwarf and Smee, but you did other characters.
I did lots of other characters. I did all the Cinderella mice. I did all 7 dwarves, either in the Electrical Light Parade or regular dwarves. I did Robin Hood once. That's a very funny story. The very first costume I ever did was the White Rabbit from Alice in Wonderland. And the reason I was doing that one is because the woman who was training me, Marilyn, that was her assigned costume. And so she put me in her costume and put me in a parade after 3 days of training. And this story is in one of our books, yes. I think the first book. And I said, don't ever put me in this costume again. The only place you could breathe was through the eyeballs, which were like a screening. The rest of it was just nothing but fur all over you and very heavy. So I did not like the White Rabbit.
No. So if you have any questions, of course, later on she went into entertainment management and then back into operations so she could work with the guests. And she was a ghost host at the Haunted Mansion. And
well, I also worked briefly Hall of Presidents, Country Bear Jamboree, because that was all like a rotation in that part of the Magic
Natalie,
Kingdom
that's
at
nice.
that time.
Natalie says she's been looking forward to this all day.
Oh, goodness.
We're going to go.
I hope I don't disappoint. I hope everybody has some fun questions because some of you have read our books, others have not, and if you haven't, why not? But we just... in working on our new book, we've just gone through all the chapters of the other 2 to make sure we're not going to repeat things that you've already read. And we even found some things that we went, oh, I forgot I mentioned that in there.
know,
We don't want to do that again,
I
do
started
we?
to write something. She says, you already wrote about that. I went, oh, okay.
But we do
Oh,
still have lots of stories.
here, Natalie just asked a question. What
Oh.
was your favorite position to work in Disney?
Oh gosh, that's hard. I loved entertaining as a character, but physically it was dangerous. Okay.
You got a lot of
Very,
injuries.
very hard physically. I had several very serious injuries. And so I liked being out there and entertaining the public, but I can't say it was my favorite. It was something I'd always dreamed of doing, and I talk about that in our first book, about the reality of that. But I would have to say, because I made so many friends and was there so long, I would say convention entertainment when I was in management. It was the last few years I was at Disney, and I was all over the property. I actually had an expense report for my car because I was, for those of you not familiar with Disney World, it is 47 square miles. So there's a lot of traveling around on it to do. And near the end of my work there, our offices weren't even on Disney property anymore. We were 20 minutes away in a business park. And so I had to make that journey back and forth several times a day. But anyway, I met so many people, famous people, just great people to work with. And I think that was my favorite part, and one I have lots of great memories about. And some of those are in the books.
Yes. Oh, Jennifer, that's nice. She says you all are wonderful.
Oh, goodness.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about you. But,
so yeah, and I got to tell you, the first couple weeks that Suzanne worked in characters, and of course the characters, because they wear so often, like the dwarfs and others wore heavy shoes, character shoes.
Mhm.
And so you'd always see them walking down the tunnels after they finished a set, let's say at Main Street, and they had to walk all the way back through the tunnels. Well, they'd take the top part of their costume off and they would walk, but they'd always leave on those shoes to strengthen their legs. And you came home the first couple of weeks with shin splints.
I had shin splints. For those who are not dancers and don't know what that means, it means the front of your leg, the muscles in your leg. You feel like you're going to die every time you take a step. Until those muscles built up. And so,
so I'm going to show you. These are the Mickey Mouse feet that Mickey wore in 1979. And you can see in there the actual tennis shoe that's molded into the shoe. And these are about 3 or 4
Oh, they're more
pounds.
than that. The ones that the dwarves wore back in 78 when I was doing them were actually, they had work boots inside of them. It was a boot with a boot in it. And they weighed anywhere from 13 to 17 pounds a piece. What are you doing?
This is you can see inside. The hands used to be made out of soft urethane foam, and
they don't do that anymore. They just wear gloves.
Yeah, and they also made out of cloth.
They've made a lot of improvements to the costumes, but I can still look at them in parades and stuff and know how heavy and hot they are. And no, we never had air conditioning in those costumes. No. There's a great myth about that everyone, oh, they're fine, they're air conditioned. No, we're not.
Okay. Oh, here, we have some questions. Let me get to these. Looking forward to Suzanne's next novel.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Don't know if I'm going to write a next novel. We've been discussing that.
Anna says, good evening from London. Hello, London, our favorite.
Hello, London. Oh, my God, our second place.
Yes.
If we could afford to have a house there, we would. But the problem we would have is that our dog couldn't go with us, and we can't go anywhere without our dog.
Okay. Natalie says, do your books ship to the UK? You can get them on Amazon UK. I just looked that up just recently, like a couple of weeks ago.
Unfortunately, we've had people ask us they wanted to buy them from us and have us ship them. It's a very expensive project for us to do it, and we have to make out all kinds of international paperwork for the Postal Service, and it's not beneficial to anyone on either end to do it that way. It's much better if you do it through Amazon.
So, all right. Okay. So anybody have any, just please ask the questions. She has to leave in well, about a half an hour, roughly.
Don't we have a clock?
Yes.
There's a clock that usually sits here.
I moved it. It's 3:10.
Oh, okay.
Duh.
I have to leave at 3:45 Chicago time to go pick up my soon-to-be granddaughter, I hope. It's our grandson's girlfriend, but we kind of refer to her as our granddaughter most of the time.
Yes, sir.
And they are temporarily living with us while they get their jobs in order. And they just moved down from southern Wisconsin about 6 months ago. And so we're helping them out. And what?
Tom Walker. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom Walker.
Fellow actor.
Don't you have a job? No, I'm kidding. How is Debbie, by the way? Very concerned about his wife, Debbie, who has some physical issues. And I would like to know how she's doing. Yes, they are.
Yes, and so let me think what else. I used to love to, I could take a break anytime because the four of us artists were
He was management and, you know, and management people get away with so many things.
Our bosses were from the Hollywood studios, so we were basically on our own all the time. The only connection we had to Disney was they paid us through the maintenance department, which was really weird.
Nobody could figure that out.
And because we were actually over them. And so, but I used to always take a break when you do a parade, and I'd come up and watch you.
Or a show at the castle or something.
And she would come by and, you know, clown around in front of me in her costume if she saw me. Okay, Donna says, how did you like working for the Walt Disney Company?
I loved working for the Walt Disney Company because back then it was very much a family company. And I don't say that as a negative thing to today, but today Walt Disney World is a gigantic enterprise. Back when we were there, it was one theme park, the Magic Kingdom, and 2 hotels, the Contemporary and the Polynesian Village, and the campgrounds. And it was 7,000 employees for the total amount of property. That's everybody. Now it is about 70,000 people. And if you've been down there anytime in the last decade, we get lost. We actually get lost on back roads and stuff that we used to traverse all the time, thinking, oh, we know how to go. Oh, wait a minute. Where are we? What is that building? You know. But I loved working for the Disney Company. And the neatest thing was that back then, a lot of the people that we worked with, and RJ can attest to this as well, had worked for Walt and had the Walt philosophy, which, again, as you get real big, it's harder and harder to keep that in everybody's mind and forefront. And it doesn't make Disney any less magical.
No, we still love it.
It's just, we still love going there. We've spent our 50th wedding anniversary there for
well,
8 days.
The difference was that the back until Eisner came in the mid-'80s, everybody that was in management at Disney worked their way up through the company. Just about every single person.
One of my major bosses had been at Disneyland on the Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, and that's how Disney liked to do that, and it made it great because they grew up working with the Disney philosophy. After Eisner came, immediately he started bringing in outside people and everything, and so that's become the norm.
Whole different thing
now. So that's different.
Well, and now, like we said, there's so many people there. There are so many people in charge that it's hard to keep that cohesive family feeling.
Here's a good question from Ken. Hi, Ken. I didn't answer the question on your group site, Disney Fun and Games, that I posted a poll on. I'll have to do that. When you were a character, did they have handlers there with you like they do now to help with crowd control and to keep you from getting overheated?
No. This was a big problem back then, okay? And back in those very different days, okay, I was not a big proponent of unionizing. However, when the characters did unionize after I had left that department and was working in management, I was all for it because it allowed them to have somebody out there with them who was not in costume, who looked like somebody important with a name tag on. And it did help the characters. It did help them when there were really big crowd situations we couldn't handle because we weren't allowed to talk. And in the costumes we were in, we had very limited vision, we had limited physical movement. And so it was kind of scary. And that was actually the reason that I had a couple of injuries, because there weren't people out there to protect us at that time. And there's really no way in Central Florida not to be hot in a costume like that. If you live there or you've been there in the summer especially, but pretty much all year round, it's hot and humid.
Yeah.
Okay. And it was just part of your makeup. The only thing we used to do was we would take like what you would call a hand towel, size towel, and we would wring them out in ice water and take safety pins and put them around the inside of on our bodies, inside the costume, to get through a parade, because it was the only way we could make it through a parade, because it was that hot and you were walking 3/4 of a mile nonstop, sometimes dancing.
And when they would take the towels off and put them in a humongous pile at the end of the parade, of course they've gone off behind the scenes.
Production center, yeah.
You could actually see steam rising from all the.
It was the
towels.
White Mountain, we called it.
It's very funny. Crystal, Randy, do you sell your art? Yes, it's only by commission. Everything I do now is commission work, and so if you'd like information on my paintings, just message me on Facebook. I'll be glad to send you the information. I like doing it this way because I get so many unique requests. Like one I'm just laying out now that is an engagement picture that the people sent me, and it takes place in one of the parks. So I'm sending them a sketch first. And of course, you saw the one I'm also doing of Roger Rabbit and Jessica Rabbit in the Haunted Mansion. So yeah, message me. I'm glad to give you info. Romina, where were the hostess from the Haunted Mansion required to not smile or laugh? I think I remember it being that way today. That doesn't seem to be the case.
We used to, as an actress, which I am, and a theater director, I loved working at the Haunted Mansion because we were allowed to be kind of grim looking. And it was part of the persona. We loved doing it, you know. When you stand out where it's the crowd control position, where people are coming up to stand in the queue to go in, you try to be a little more Disney-esque, you know. But inside the mansion, or when you're bringing people in or helping them off the ride, it was a lot of fun to be kind of creepy. I liked it.
Rob asks, don't suppose either of you worked with Bobby Thomas as Donald? Oh, yes.
Oh, yes, I did. I just saw Bobby Thomas.
Yes.
At our last reunion a year or so ago.
Character reunion of people who worked through the 70s.
Yeah,
and actually we're going to another one in
2021. It'll be Disney World's 50th anniversary, believe it or not.
We'll be going to that.
But Bobby Thomas is still the crazy man he was when he was Donald Duck, just older.
Trip. Yeah, he's in management.
Does Bobby still work for them?
He's getting close to retirement. I'm not sure. He was. I think he had a couple more years. Oh, he's a relative of I met him as a kid for the first time and was starstruck. Yes, he is.
What I loved about Bobby was he,
cool.
As Donald Duck, he could be kind of nasty to kids, and he was very good at it. I mean, he did it without injuring children, but he wouldn't take it.
Well, when you didn't have a handler, so to speak, that was with you, that came later. The only protection you had when somebody was doing something like yanking on your head and jerking it around and thinking it's funny and stuff was to either walk away. But Bobby was great because, and some of the dwarfs you would do it. He would kick them with his duck feet. Well, but you could slam.
Don't
I'm
tell.
I'm going to show you this because some of you joined late. I have the Mickey Mouse shoes from late 1979.
Donald's shoes were pretty much that same size. And you can
see the tennis shoe that's welded inside of this, and these are great. And there's a story behind that. It's because I did a prototype character of Jiminy Cricket. But anyway, you can slam, see the bottom of these, and they could slam this down on the asphalt really hard right next to somebody like that, and
Scare
it
them.
scared them.
We used to do that with our dwarf boots too, but Bobby used to just use his duck feet to kick little kids. But don't tell, because he would have. Well,
They can't do that anymore.
No, they can't.
He wouldn't kick them hard.
No, it would just.
It's a playful.
He had fun.
You know, there were kids rolling down.
He was
the street
doing all kinds of things he really wasn't supposed to do, but he'd do them in a way that didn't get him in trouble. So
yes,
we all have stories like that. That I don't know if I've told any of those in the book or not.
You need to check.
Yeah, because I have one Bianca
stories.
Story where I scared a little kid to death. He went running away to his mother.
Oh.
Yeah. No, I didn't hurt him or anything, but he kept. When I was in Bianca the Mouse, which I loved, is a character from The Rescuers. The head of the mouse sat on my shoulders. I had shoulder harnesses on it. Okay. So if a kid came up and grabbed my ear and tried to twist it, it was twisting my entire body around, and it was not very comfortable. And this one kid, when I just kept doing this to me, it was over by the teacups, and it was nighttime. And I forget why I was out there at nighttime, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay. And so he just kept getting nastier and nastier with me. And he thought it was funny. He was pulling on my tail. He was going around doing all that stuff. And finally, I just grabbed a hold of his shirt, not hard, and I pulled him up to where my mask was on my head. And very quietly, I said to him, if you don't leave me alone, you're going to leave this park in an ambulance, which was not a nice thing to say, but I thought, nobody else can hear me. There's nobody around here. And this kid is about to rip my neck off. He went running over to his mother, and I heard him, Mommy, the mouse talked to me. And his mother stopped him dead cold and said, honey, they don't talk. You imagined it. And I stood there in my costume laughing my head off. So I was evil, but I got away with it.
Natalie says those days were so much better. They were. Back then, that's, of course, when up until the mid-'80s, the characters used to walk around the park all the time.
All the time.
And it was great because that's you just went up and got your picture with them and everything else. They did not have photo spots, which we hate. I just think that's crazy. But anyway.
And boring for the characters.
Oh, here you go. David, do you think the WDC has lost its creativity with the purchase of other franchises? Whoops, wait a minute. We need more Walt's corn movies. Corn in quotes.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a great quote of Walt's, by the way. And he says, a lot of people say I'm corny, but I think there's several million people in this country that are also as corny as me.
Yeah.
And I like that idea. I don't want to say they've gotten away from it. I think there's just a worldwide attitude now of kids being a lot more savvy than they were back in our time, and older, which I find kind of sad that they get so grown up so quickly. So they're playing to that, I think. My thing, and this is a personal thing, because I hate roller coasters, I'm getting upset that they're putting so many roller coasters in the park now because I don't ride them. And I think you need more kid rides and not so many roller coasters.
Especially in the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. I know that's a thing now and everybody loves roller coasters and hooray for you. But I just think it's a little overdone.
I think
that's just a personal thing.
Mine Train ride is really, really good, but we went on it and I actually had a real problem with my
he has vertigo.
Well, and it wasn't long after I'd had my severe concussion, and that was the wrong thing to go on. I wish they still had Snow White's Scary Adventure for the families.
Well, and they have the new Toy Story area in the studios now at Disney World, and they have a roller coaster ride. And I said I would have been so much happier had they put in an indoor ride of the Toy Story with all the characters and everything. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
there is no roller coaster that I can remember in any of the Toy Story movies. Anyway.
Christy says, my mom has only been to Disney World once when she was 16 in 1972. Wow, we go back then.
That was before we were there.
But we'd already been there, yeah, a number of times. Right at the time you're talking about. I can't wait to bring her again one day. What a difference it will be for her. It'll be shock.
Starting with Main Street, which is so different now, and we don't want to get into that. That'll be in the new book, right?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, we have to tell about the new book because somebody asked a question the other day of RJ. When is our next book coming out? We had originally said it would be out by fall. Then we were hoping it would be out by the end of the year so you could buy it to somebody for Christmas. We're sorry. He's too busy. I'm too busy. And we realized that when we wrote the first two books, we didn't know all of you people, and we weren't involved in all this stuff, and he wasn't doing...
Well, I was doing paintings, but not at this level.
Not like he does every day, all day.
Yeah, I'm booked like 2 to 3 months out.
You're further than that. You've got some in April now you're doing.
Well, yeah, but there are spaces in between.
Oh, I know. So anyway, our publisher, Bob McLean of Theme Park Press, who is wonderful, we have apologized to him a couple times, and he said, please don't do that. I would rather the book come out a year later than you say and be ready than you rush a book and not have it be the quality of the other two. So that is our promise to each other. We are working on it. We're having to do a lot more research because we're having to pull stories that we want to make sure we haven't told before. And the title of the book is Imagination and Dreams Are Forever. And that is actually part of a quote from Walt.
So it'll be the third and...
Yeah, that's the first two. And the new one's going to be Imagination and Dreams Are Forever. And each chapter will have a Walt quote before it begins. And the body of the chapter will somehow reflect that quote of Walt's. Because I found so many things that not only talked about the parks and the entertainment area of Disney, but also the philosophy of Disney that I thought a lot of people... I mean, there are kids now that don't even know Walt Disney was a real person. They just think it's the name of a park. So we wanted to bring that into the new book, and so that's making it a little more complicated, if you will, to write it and make sure we stay true to that theme. So it's going to be out, but probably not until sometime next year.
Sorry, we're working hard.
Because once we finish it, then our publisher has to get it, and then he's got to put it all together and edit and get it printed and all that stuff. So
Natalie says, I'm not really keen on the Tron coaster being built. Oh, Tron.
Didn't even know about that one. Okay, I will definitely not be on that one.
I heard about that one. Hannah says, have you been to any other Disney parks? In Paris, if you visit during an off-peak season, you still have characters walking around, taking pictures and playing with guests.
Okay, here's your difference. Okay, a lot of people don't know this, but the only parks that are totally owned by the Disney company is Disney World in Florida and Disneyland in Anaheim, California.
Yeah.
The other parks have Disney interest in them, partial ownership, but not primary ownership. They are owned by other companies. And one of them, I think it's Japan. Well, Japan was basically owned by the country of Japan for a while, but that has changed. It does make a difference in the, how things are run and whatever. I'm not saying they're lesser parks. The only ones we've ever been to are the ones in this country. So I can't really speak to that. I do know that in California, because Disneyland is so close to the studios and so monitored by the studios, that their rules there are very different from Walt Disney World, which is its own separate entity. They don't answer to the Walt Disney Studios in California.
You will be amazed if you haven't been to Disneyland, but you've been to Disney World a lot, at the difference. And it's still, Disneyland is still very much like
Walt-esque.
Walt-esque. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Chrissy says, my dad is terrified of heights and roller coasters, and he won't go on them anywhere else, but I brought him to Disney, and he loved them because of the way they're set up. Not as scary as big out of and the open roller coasters. I agree.
And he's right about that, and also right about the fact that Disney is very mindful of their safety. That is the very first thing that they are concerned with when it comes to entertaining the public.
Yes.
And the rides are constantly checked every single day. And if there's the slightest little thing wrong, they will shut it down.
They actually walk the track. They don't.
They walk it in the morning.
And then they do a test ride on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Alex says, I heard that Mexico Pavilion and Epcot might get a Coco Dark Ride. Yes, we were forced just down there
recently. We came up with that idea when Coco came out.
And we said that would be perfect. Well, of course, they could take the ride that's in Mexico now and easily change that to Coco, which would be fantastic.
Especially if they have the dog in there.
Although I just last week, and we had thought this, when you go on the ride there now, you see the three caballeros, which I said, they sure look like the ones that were in Mickey Mouse Review that I used to work on and paint in the attraction. And,
so he found out they are.
And thanks to Romina, she found out from D23, I think is where he traced it to, that they were. They went, of course, in the late 70s, Japan was being built. They wanted the attraction. They ripped it out of Disney World, took it to Japan rather than build them a new one, which was sad. But when it was closed down a few years back at Japan, the characters went other places, and those three characters are from Mickey Mouse Review at Epcot.
But you're talking about the ride that they are talking about doing in Mexico of Coco, which I think is a great idea. I wasn't totally against them putting Frozen in Norway, except that being a writer and reading a lot of classical literature growing up, the story that Frozen is taken from is by Hans Christian Andersen, and Hans Christian Andersen was Danish, not Norwegian. So I found that amusing. It's still Scandinavia. Like RJ said, they should just call it the Scandinavian Pavilion and not the Norway
Nothing
Pavilion.
against you Norwegians, but I'm half
But the
Swedish.
other thing I'm excited about is they are doing a Remy, a Ratatouille ride in France.
And
I don't know when that's going to be done and open.
Right. Hannah asked, do you know if there's going to be an update in the modern room of the Carousel of Progress? I don't know the latest, but they do update them every 4 years, or maybe they're doing it more often now because our technology's changing so fast. But when I was there, they had updated just a little bit, but not much. But yes, they keep updating. So I would imagine soon, because I would sure hate to see that attraction ever leave. That is one of the originals.
They worked on it a few years ago. We got to see it not long after they had added the Walt video on the outside that you watch now before you go in, where Walt explains all about how this was created and where and everything. And I think that enhanced it too.
Oh, Alex says
a lot of people didn't know what the Carousel of Progress was.
Alex Ferrero says the last scene is being updated, so
cool.
Which is great.
Okay.
As well, and of course, if you read our books, especially the first one, you hear about how Tom and I got caught in the attraction behind the counter in that last scene, and then because of something that happened, we were ducked down behind, sitting next to the father who was fixing.
But the audience could see their reflections.
We
in
didn't
the door
realize
of the oven.
The oven was open a little bit, and they could see us and started laughing. We're going, "What are they laughing at?" Oh my God! So when the audience started rotating around, we jumped up and ran out the back. Oh, anyway. Disney just bought Disneyland Paris, so they officially own it. Again, Alex, thank you.
Yay.
That's good for them, because that's the way it should be.
That is something that has been a thorn in my side for a long time.
Oh, there's Sarah Thornton. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
How are the chickens? So beautiful movie. That would be great. Romina worked there. Well,
Okay.
I forgot to tell you that. When I worked Space Mountain back in '88, at the end of the day, we would have to run track for Lost and Found, and that was crazy because of the height.
Oh, God, I wouldn't like that. I used to have to run the mansion, of course, after it closed at night for the same reason. Also, we would find charming things, which I'm sure you encountered as well, like dirty diapers. And our favorites, though, in the mansion were books of matches that would be lit and thrown. I don't understand why people would do something like that, but they did. But it was not as scary as what you had, because we did have the work lights on and stuff, so we could see everything.
Oh, Hannah King says the Ratatouille ride in Paris is fantastic, and it will be a brilliant addition. Yeah, I can't wait.
Oh, I can't wait, because it's one of my favorite movies.
We love that.
So.
Construction is still going on right now. The Ratatouille ride, yes.
Cool. I'm thinking, and we've talked about this, he and I, for years, that they could do a ride in every single country, and it would give families a happier time in Epcot, because little kids don't really care about what's in Epcot.
Those are great additions. Coco
and they're terrific
Ratatouille.
additions. And we talked about they could do a Pinocchio ride in Germany.
Yeah.
They could do Alice in Wonderland over in England.
Yeah.
They could, there's lots of things they could do. So.
Carousel of Progress is top 3. I would be distraught if it ever went, and I totally agree with you. It is such a wonderful.
I think I would be out there protesting that.
Oh, and our good friend Pam Turlow, fellow actor
Pam.
and director. And there's talk of a Mary Poppins ride in England. Yeah.
Oh, that's even better than Alice.
More of a Dumbo ride. I want a Peter Pan kind of Mary Poppins ride. I agree with you. I think that would be wonderful. Yeah. Sarah says the chickens are fab.
Okay, what time is it getting to be? I have to be a taxi in about 10 minutes.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
It's 3:36.
Okay, I have 9 minutes. If you have any more questions of me, you gotta hurry.
Yeah, but I'll stick around for a few more and tell you a couple more things and go away.
Oh, wait, before we run out of time, I wanted to say this at the top of the show, but we were waiting for people to sign on. We had hundreds of wonderful happy anniversary notes and messages on Facebook on Tuesday. We were overwhelmed and so touched by all of you, making our day even better with all of those messages. We read them all. I wasn't able to answer them all because there were so many, but it was really moving for us. Thank you so much, because our anniversary is a big deal to us, always is. And we
had a wonderful dinner.
Yeah, we had a great dinner, and it was funny because when we got to our 50th year together, we talked for months about where are we going to go? We got to do something really special. We talked about going back to England, which is one of our favorite places. We talked about just everywhere. And then finally we looked at each other and went, wait a minute, where did we spend so many years and it meant so much to us? Let's go to Disney World, So people would ask us, so where are you going? We're going to Disney World.
Sarah just asked what mugs we're drinking. Well, I'm drinking from one of my favorites.
Magic Kingdom. You bought that at Disneyland, actually.
Yeah.
And this is very funny. This is a glass.
But he's on his train.
This is a Mickey Mouse Club glass that we've had since our children were tiny people. And I keep thinking, I can't believe these are still around. We still have like 4 of them. Some of them have Donald Duck on them and Goofy and stuff. But
oh, Hannah, that's nice. Suzanne, your wedding dress reminded me of Meghan Markle's. It was beautiful.
It's funny you say that, because I thought that day when we watched her wedding. I went, oh, that woman has great taste. Thank you.
We met in high school in 10th grade in drama. So we've known each other even longer, much longer than the 53 years. Both. So, yeah. And this one looks like she's 20 years younger than she is.
You don't have to. It's okay. I love you anyway.
I tell everybody when she was 20 when we got married, but she always looks 20 years younger than she is, which would have made her 0 when we got married. That doesn't work. No. Natalie says, please come to England. We want to.
We can't afford it.
If they would just fix the airline prices. And
we went to Disney. We went to England 4 times. First time for our 20th anniversary. And then 2 years later, we took our kids to England. And 3 years after that, we took our son. Our daughter couldn't go because she was working at Disney and they wouldn't give her the time off. And then we went in 2004, which was our favorite trip, because we stayed for a month and we had so much fun, and we did not want to come home.
Oh, God, it was
But
wonderful.
even then, it was an expensive trip, but we had just sold a house, and so we were able to afford to do it. But now it's really out of our realm, unless somebody
Well,
takes up a big donation. I don't think we're getting back to England anytime
we're
soon.
working on it.
We're
working
trying.
on it.
We don't give up.
I have my cousin in Sweden who wants us to come to Sweden, Eva Eckenberger, and we would love to do that because we've never been to Sweden, and
No.
so maybe we can do a combined
We've
trip.
also never been to Paris, which is why we haven't gone to Disney Paris.
Catherine Ann says we are going to WW for our anniversary too. Oh, great!
Congratulations! Happy anniversary!
And Natalie says you two are couple goals.
Okay.
So,
what time is it? I hate to keep asking that, but it's very, very hot here today, and I don't want this poor woman standing outside her workplace in the hot sun.
She's talking about Libby, who's our oldest grandson, Alex's girlfriend, and they both live with us right now while they are saving up to get their own place. Which will be around April 1st.
Yeah.
So we're having fun with them here.
Yeah, we get along great. And they actually sleep on a single bed in RJ's studio where we are sitting right now.
Yeah.
And I still can't figure out how they do that because he's 6'3" and she's 6 foot.
But they're young. It's a trundle bed. You can pull the bottom out, but they won't use the bottom part.
They just both sleep on the twin bed. I don't know
when they move, we're giving them that bed because it's really too big for my studio. And we're going to get a sleeper sofa, which will give me even more room in this wonderful place I have. There are 14 of us going to WW the weekend of Thanksgiving to celebrate my mom's 80th birthday. That's what she wanted, and my cousin's 40th birthday. Oh my God,
that's
are you
a lot of
crazy? That's going to be a blast.
We once did that. RJ had a friend from college, a Chinese friend who got married, and all of his relatives came from China.
Hers and some of his.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they wanted us to take them to Disney World because we were both in management. We could get them in. Okay. And so we did. And the problem we had with that group was only Nick and his wife spoke English.
Yes.
All the people from China did not speak anything but Chinese.
That was so
Try
much
to corral that many people who don't understand what you're saying. It was a very long day.
Natalie, a couple goals means what I aspire to be. Oh, that's sweet.
Oh, that's nice.
It's her, not me.
No, I'm not crying, by the way. I have allergy issues when we have the air conditioning on, and it's bothering my eyes right now.
We're having so much fun. You've got
I have 4 minutes.
4 minutes.
Okay.
Before she has to leave to go pick up Libby.
I'm having a great time.
We're so excited because we like cool and cold weather, and tomorrow it cools off.
Tomorrow it cools off into the 70s here and 40s at night, which we're excited because we have lots of trees where we live, and we're waiting for them all to turn colors and drop the leaves on the ground. We live in a very, very, very old city. Aurora is the second largest city in Illinois, next to Chicago. And it is the first city in the world to have electric lights hooked up into the city back in the 1800s. And therefore, it's called the City of Lights. And I said, see, Paris calls themselves the City of Lights, but we were first. Yeah. So there.
So, and they really have a neat downtown. And we have an incredible theater in the Paramount Theater, which is historic.
It was built in the 20s.
And they do, of course, we get Broadway shows on tour that comes here, and we get to see them for so much less than what you'd have to pay to go in Chicago, 30 miles away from us. So we can walk to it. It's like 8 blocks from our house. Yeah. But the neat thing is that on Mondays, not every Monday night, they will actually show classic movies. Yeah. And we just went a couple of weeks ago, and we saw Tootsie, the original movie, and that was so much fun. And it seats 1,800 people. So.
Yeah, it's $1 to get in, and then they have concessions.
Yeah, only $1. It wasn't, and of course, there wasn't that many people there.
No.
So it's fun. What do you have coming up to paint? Well, I'll tell you what, Sarah, hold on to that. I'm going to tell you in a minute because
do I have to go?
Suzanne has to leave.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm having fun. I will be back because RJ and I talked about this morning, and I want to tell you in a little more detail about my novel because I still get guys who say, "Oh, I don't read that kind of book." But I have to tell you that when I was writing this book, I was in a writing group that was all men except me and one other woman. And I had 3 different guys in that group that said, "You know what? Normally I wouldn't read a book like this, but I love this. And I love just going from one chapter to the next. I can't stop reading it." And so I want to explain the book to you without telling you the story.
So we'll do that
and
soon.
Do that very soon.
Because it's really good. I love the book. It's called Ribbons,
Yes.
and it's available on Amazon also. And so you have to go.
I have to go.
I will miss you.
I'm only going 5 miles away. I'll be back.
Oh, good.
I have to go get your mailing tubes. He's sending out some prints that he needs mailing tubes for. And
I'm going to be lonely. Goodbye, dear.
Bye. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Have a nice day.
It was fun.
Anyway, okay. Let me back up a little bit. Oh my God, Romina, the heat index in Orlando was 103. Oh, I don't know what it is here, but I know we are somewhere around 90, supposedly above 90 here, temperature-wise. Okay, what do I have coming up to paint? Of course, these 2 paintings here are going to Texas next week. I was going to ship them today, but it turns out the gentleman I did these for and did 2 others, this will be all 4 of them when he gets these, is going to be out of town all next week. And he didn't want them delivered, obviously, while he's not there. And but then I also have, well, I can't get to it. I'm back. I have the painting of Roger Rabbit and Jessica Rabbit that I was working on some last week that's in the Haunted Mansion. That one's very exciting for me. But I have one coming up. I can't show you the sketch because I have to be, because it's a surprise gift. And it's actually an engagement painting, a picture of a couple that were engaged at Disney World. And they're in one of the parks. That's all I'll say on that right now. And then right after that, I believe I'm doing, yes, I have one that's a Haunted Mansion and the hitchhiking ghost out in front of the Haunted Mansion. And, oh gosh, I have one of, from Little Mermaid of, I can't remember the bad character's name now, the tentacled lady. Right out of my head. I have that one coming up. I have more stretch room paintings coming up. And so if you're interested in a painting, message me on Facebook. I only do commissions. And I do sketches. Usually I do a sketch of everything for you. I don't have to the stretch room because it's pretty obvious. Natalie, oh, you're welcome, Natalie, for answering your questions. Dreamers do, so keep on dreaming. Oh, yes, and we always are. Although last night, Susie woke me up this morning and says, well, you were dreaming last night. And you kept laughing and talking. I went, sorry. I said, it's better than having the nightmares I sometimes get because of my PTSD, but those aren't funny. Anyway, Harriet, oh, hi, Harriet. So good to see you 2 together after all these years. Susie was my neighbor when we were growing up. You all graduated a few years before I did from Norland High School. Yes, that's true. You were the next door neighbor, I believe, right? And that's just amazing to me. Hannah, which of the stretched Haunted Mansion paintings is your favorite to recreate today? And do you know about the original designs, who painted them, or the inspiration behind them? And yes, I can answer both of those questions. Oh gosh, my favorite. Golly, I like doing them all. You know what? I don't think I have a favorite. I like all 4 of them. I'd have to say maybe the guys in the quicksand and the ballerina on the tightrope. And the ballerina is the most popular one I get asked to do, that more than any other. Usually when somebody orders just one, that's the one they want. Yeah, She's very popular. The original designs, these are not the original designs. These are what you see now. Were done by Mark Davis. Mark Davis was an animator for Disney, and he created Tinkerbell, Cruella de Vil, Maleficent, Princess Aurora, worked on all those movies. And he's a Disney legend along with his wife, Alice Davis, who wrote the foreword for our first book, Together in a Dream. And Mark, after Disneyland opened, he moved over to working on attractions and creating conceptual designs, like for Pirates of the Caribbean. He did stuff on Haunted Mansion. He did just all the attractions. He made changes to some of the attractions. Mark was wonderful because he was one of our bosses. Well, the original drawings or the stretch room paintings were actually charcoal, done up on charcoal, and then they weren't put in as charcoal. But anyway, and you can see that when you see them up close. I've got well, you can't see them because I got these in the way, but yeah, you can't see it right now. Wait a minute, if I do that. Yeah, okay. Oh, this is good. There's the original. I have two limited edition prints. I wish I had all four, but those are the originals done by Mark Davis. And you can actually see a shade mark where the bottom is the blues in background are a little bit darker than the top part because of the sun hitting them and stuff. But those were only used for about 3 years at Disneyland. And then, of course, they had to redo them. They were getting worn out because they roll up. They would roll up like a blind, and day in and day out. So eventually, they're gonna get damaged. They have to be fixed. In fact, we had to repair them at Disney World a couple times. The ones that were in until they did us some new ones. Now, of course, with digital printing and everything else, they can do that and they don't have to repaint them. But they used to have Disney artists at the studios actually paint new ones, and that's how they started changing over time. That's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Ursula, thank you. Ursula. That's who it is. We're close to losing your Disney card. Thank you, Sarah. No, I could say it's old age, but actually, I've been this way my whole life. One of the very funny things I do is somebody will say, who's in that movie? Or something like, I can remember a movie and the name, I can remember the actor in the movie and describe, but see, people say, I'm trying to think of this actor. I says, oh, I know who you're talking about. He did such and such as such, or she did that. And I can name everything they did, but I can't remember their names. Do you ship your paintings to the UK? I can, but they are expensive to ship. If I know the size, I can message me and I'll give you the sizes and everything. I mean, my paintings mostly these are generally the biggest I do. These are 54 inches by 16 inches. They're on heavy-duty stretcher frames because of their size. I paint around the edges on all paintings so that they can be hung without a frame if you want, or framed. But my other paintings, I don't do too many that are the small ones. They are 16 by 20, but they go up in sizes by 20 to 24, 24 by 30, and 30 by 40 is generally the largest one I do. And the prices are pretty much set by size, from $450 up to $750 and up to $800. Unless there is a lot of content. There is one I did for Sarah. That's Main Street. You see it on my group sites, or on one of my group site, RJ Ogren and Disney. You see some of the painting on there, and that has so many elements to it and so much detail and so many people in it. That one's more expensive, but that one's actually $900. Natalie, they have close friends in Orlando, and we come every year, so could send there, and I could collect to bring home would be easy. That would be. That actually would be. I just did, 6 months ago, when Tina in England found out that we were very good friends, and I actually did videos for Bob Ross. Yes, Happy Trees. And I created the cartoon intro to his show and closing of his show, which were on for a few years. That's another funny story. But anyway, when she found out that we were friends, she wanted me to, if I could send a drawing. Well, it was, and of course they paid for it, and it was a small drawing I did of Bob Ross, and it was going to cost a lot more to ship it. But she, of course, same thing. She has friends in Orlando, and she was going to Orlando, so we sent it to their friends down there at a much reasonable price, much more reasonable price. And when they went there, they picked it up and took it back with them. So yes, that is a great way to do it. So Natalie, message me and we'll talk, because we got to bypass the shipping stuff to England. That's nuts. Sarah, worth every single dime. Well, thank you, Sarah. That was such a fun painting to do. And when you look at that painting, by the way, that I did on Main Street at night, it has in the lower left corner are two children with some Mickey Mouse balloon, and that is Sarah's children. I also did one for you that's on, you guys are on the Jungle Cruise, and it's done in sepia tones. Now, I've said this before, because people ask, what's sepia? Sepia are shades of reddish brown tones. You see it in really old photographs sometimes. But it looks like I only have a few minutes. Tina, oh, hi, Tina, you're on there. It's the one I sent to Bob Ross drawing. It's my most precious item. Oh, thank you. That's nice. Oh, Natalie, I'll message you for more information. I'm in Orlando twice next year, so that would be perfect. We could time it quite well. Have you ever done anything with, oh, this is from Tammy. Have you ever done anything with Carl and Ellie? Your work is just brilliant. Oh, thank you. You all are so kind. Wow, thank you. I try. Carl and Ellie. I'm not familiar with who that is. Carl and Ellie. Tell me who that is. Romina, have you ever painted Figment and the Dreamfinder? Yes, actually. I did a painting for Angela, actually Angela. Anyway, a couple years ago, that was had Figment and had Dreamfinder in it. It was like a collage of pictures from the attraction. Happy anniversary! Thank you. Oh, they're from Up. Oh, of course. Duh. Now, that's very funny because we just watched the movie again a week and a half ago. Let's see. No, I have not. I would love to do one of them from that movie. I love that movie. That would be a lot of fun. All right, Sarah, you are killing me today. I'm killing myself. It's because I'm still on drugs from having my teeth extracted. So each day it's getting better. It is getting better. What's on this side at the back, and next week I won't be able to use drugs as an excuse. Thanks, Sarah. Romine, are you excited for the new Mary Poppins movie? Totally. I love her. It's Emma Stone, right? That's playing that. of course, I loved her in La La Land. So yes, that's going to be very, very good, I think. I can't wait to see it. Um, oh, Robert, new here, would love to hear Bob Ross cartoon intro sometime. Yes, who was it sent that to me? I have been trying to find it for years, and it's kind of I have it on my laptop. I should see if I can post it or tell everybody where to go see it. Emily Blunt. Thank you. No, still. Emily Blunt. I always get those. See, I can picture her, but I can't. Emily Blunt is Mary Poppins. Perfect. Um, now you're all going to put it on there. Emily Blunt will play Mary Poppins. Anyway, I'm sorry. I like them both, Emma Stone and Emily Blunt. So I'm getting killed here, people. Oh, my brain is going crazy with ideas for what I want you, what for what I want now. Oh, Natalie, that's neat. That's great. Just send me your thoughts and we'll talk about it. I can paint anything. There isn't anything I haven't come across that I can't paint yet. There's things I haven't wanted to paint, but we're not going to go there. Oh, Sarah, oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yes, Dick Van Dyke will be in the movie. I did hear that, and I thought that was really cool. I can't believe he can still move as well as he can and even dance a little. Um, Sarah, that's how I ended up with 3. Yes, Natalie, she just answered you. Sarah started with the one of Main Street at night and the fireworks going off and everything in the castle. And then I did was it the one from Up, but it was the book. And then the house. Was that the one? So I didn't do the characters in that one, but yeah, see, I do so many paintings now. Uh, but then of course the one on the Jungle Cruise, which was a lot of fun to paint. All of you into the on the boat in the Jungle Cruise. RJ, you're crazy talented. Well, thank you. Sarah, Anton and Remy. That's right, Anton and Remy. Oh, that's the one where yes, yes. I have them having a Remy is on the table with Anton, and they are drinking wine and having cheese crackers, and the wine bottles, some of them are falling over, and we came up with some really funny names for the different wines, and the other couple are in the kitchen looking through the round window out. They're in the background looking out at them. That was a fun one to paint. Robert stepped away for a moment, but to clarify the Bob Ross funny story you talked about. You mean doing doing the cartoon drawing? Because I did. Um, oh, wow. Yes, Sarah. They're. Never mind. I'm going off everywhere. Yeah, Bob Ross lived only about a mile from us in Orlando. And Bob Ross, Suzanne and I were working with the actor James Best. We had James Best professional theater and acting school, and also we did comedy, improv, which I emceed the shows. And anyway, Bob Ross walked in the door one day, and this was in the mid 80s, and he wanted to take some acting lessons because he was planning a show for Branson, Missouri. And that's how we met. He actually was in my acting class, and we became good friends. And I ended up going up to the PBS studios in Indiana, which is where he filmed all of those, and was in the same studio where Bob painted. And I did 2 cartoon videos. And they still sell them, which don't run out and, well, sure you can buy them for your kids, but they're very basic. The face of a character and the other is a bunny rabbit, and how to change their expression and everything. And after all these years, they still sell those. That's amazing. And but I did one video that I have. They never sold it, but Bob wanted me to do one in acrylics because, of course, he did oil painting, and so do all the other people that do Bob Ross paintings are in oils. And I practiced and practiced. Bob and I used to go over to his house, and we would put paintings up side by side and paint the same subject and see who could paint it in a half an hour, and he won every time. So here I am doing this video in that studio, and Bob was in the engineering booth, so he was behind glass, and the only person there with me in the studio was one of the technicians giving me hand signals of how much time I had, and I was painting away on this thing and talking like Bob does, and I got down to one point, and I was about 2/3 of the way done with the painting, and the guy holds up 4 fingers, which meant I had 4 minutes. And so I started painting real fast, and I said, you put in the road here, and you do grass like this, and then you go across here, and you paint over here real quick, and then you put some flowers here. And I was, that's how I ended the video. And I says, and you're done. And I could actually hear through the sound booth, I could hear Bob laughing like crazy. Very funny. He says, I don't think we're going to sell that one. Maybe for a comedy show. But anyway, I would love to see them. They sound amazing. I guess you're talking about the Remy and Anton painting I did. But then, of course, Bob also then asked me to do a cartoon of him walking in, walking into a big canvas, huge canvas, and he would be, the character is carrying a bucket of paint and a big brush, and he has a squirrel coming with him, and there's a bird that flies in too. But the squirrel is because Bob always used to find baby squirrels. I'd be at his house, and he always had a baby squirrel crawling around on it. And there's a couple of videos he did on PBS that actually has one of the squirrels. And so we had to have a squirrel in that. But he came out, and he takes the bucket of paint and throws it at the canvas, and then one of Bob's paintings washes down over the canvas. That was the original way it was done. And yeah, they were fun to do. The crazy thing is that was back around 1985, 86, right in there. And they did not have animation programs yet, at least none I knew of. But I was able to go into a production studio, and they let me use a Mac, and I actually had to hand draw every one of those, put them into the Mac computer and scan them and put them in sequence. And then to color them, to get the color really good, I actually had to blow each frame up and color the pixels. It took 3 months to do a 30-minute or 30-second intro and a 30-second exit on the show. And on that note, I am going to say goodbye to all. Natalie, I will talk to you on Messenger if anybody else wants to contact me. Great. I obviously love to talk. You can't stop me because this is supposed to be an hour show, and it's now 8 minutes past the hour. I need more coffee. I'm going to take my mug. If you all didn't see it, that's the mug I'm using today with Walt in the engine of the train. There's 2 pictures. This side, we found out not to put it in the washing machine. This side started fading. So we don't put any of our Disney mugs, and we have almost 100 of them now. We don't put them in a dishwasher. So, Natalie, thank you so much for the entertainment this evening. Well, thank you, and thank you all for the questions, Romina, everybody. Robert, my pleasure. I love having Suzanne on. I am going to have Jim on again, who was helped create and still does a lot of the toys for the McDonald's for their Happy Meals, and we had a lot of fun with that. So we're going to have him on again before Halloween. I promised you I would have on our fellow actor and author Pam back on again. And so anyway, thank you for joining in. And Hannah, I have thoroughly enjoyed listening to this evening. It's been the first live feed I've been able to join. I look forward to joining again soon. Oh, I hope so. Yes, I try to do this every Thursday at 3 o'clock Chicago Central Standard Time. And I will see you all next week. Same time, same place. Have a great weekend. And Romeo, I'll continue to feel better. Thank you. What's this side? Keep doing these videos. I will. Bye, everybody. Until next week. Oh, dear.